Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to talk about Trump and the case and how it was built and who's behind it and whether or not it's a show. And we're going to do this because I got a message. I know you don't like Trump, but I'll never forget how you defended his wife and defended the things you thought he did right. We are as far apart as people can get, but I like you because you're honest. You saying you felt bad for the Michigan people sealed it for me. How can you not honestly see this is a dim operation? They're out for him. They built this case against him to stop him from running. It's all a show. Giuliani and Epstein, Trump lawyers, right? Pence, Short, Jacobs. Those are two of Pence's aides. Scavino, Miller, Cipollone. These are all Trump world people. That's the one thing they have in common. What else do they have in common? They all sat and answered questions with the special counsel's office, and the grand jury reviewed their statements. Make no mistake about it. The Democratic Party did not build the case against Trump. Republicans did. And it's something that I talked about before when people were talking about Giuliani flipping. And his lawyer said something to the effect of, he didn't flip. I was like, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people who are on the Republican side of the aisle who didn't flip on Trump, who still wound up providing evidence against him. This wasn't manufactured in the way a whole lot of people think it was. If you read that indictment, look at where the evidence came from. It didn't come from Democrats. It didn't come from disgruntled people. It didn't come from people who had a grudge with him. It came from his circle. It came from Trump world. That's where the evidence came from. And that's one of the things that is going to make it so hard for Trump to manage this in the sphere of public opinion. Because aside from his base, those people who have really bought into him and don't want to admit what they're seeing, I think most people are not going to look at this in a partisan fashion because the witnesses are from his party. I know people want to see it as a show. I know people want to view this through the light of, well, it's just normal partisan politics. I don't think this is. And I don't think this is going to have one of those resolutions where it all goes away. This is something else. If you believe that this whole thing was a witch hunt or it's a show or whatever, read the indictment. Just sit down and read it. You don't have to make any assumption about Trump's guilt to read that indictment. He is entitled to the presumption of innocence. But read the indictment. Look and see where the evidence came from. They don't have D's after their name. It's not a Democratic operation. It's not a partisan stunt. This is, to use the word, it's unprecedented. What is happening right now is not like an impeachment hearing. It is not like some hearing where people are trying to manufacture a scandal about their political opposition. This is a big deal. And the sooner people who are on the Republican side of the aisle start to acknowledge that, the sooner the country can get back to normal, or at least a close facsimile thereof. It's not the way a lot of outlets are going to try to frame it. And make no mistake about it, they're going to try to frame it that way right up until the trial. and then they're going to have to cover the evidence. They're going to have to cover their testimony. There are a whole lot of people who early on, they were cheerleaders for Trump. And I get it. I understand. Believe me. But it's time to start acknowledging that the longer you refuse to acknowledge what's happening, the more damaging it is going to be when you have no choice but to acknowledge it. Read the indictment. See where the evidence came from. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.